Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Andrea, and as you know, I'm a painter, but I have been watching potters for the last like 5 years and have absolutely been obsessing over ceramics for so long now. And every time I see one of those videos, I'm like, I need to do that. I need to get my hands on some clay. So last October, I finally took my first class, and it was magical. As soon as I went to that class, I was like, okay, how am I gonna start doing this, you know? So I pretty much immediately started setting up my home studio. I first want to start with acknowledging some of the artists that I followed throughout the years, and all of these artists, I absolutely just love seeing their work. I love seeing their forms and their sculptural elements, their glaze techniques, the way they capture their work, the way they share their work. I find it all extremely inspiring. If I'm feeling down or if I feel like I am not creating as much and whatnot, I go to some of these artists and watch their content and get inspired and get motivated from seeing them do what we're all trying to do. So some of the artists I want to mention is Jane Object, Female Alchemy, Strong Roots Pottery, Alison Dowd, and as well as E.C. Roquette. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name right. Second, I want to shout out a playlist that I have on my channel. I don't know what it's called, but I'll link it down below. It is all of the videos I watched in preparation for a home studio, and I highly encourage anyone who's watching this video to go to that playlist and watch and learn from people who have been doing this for a long time and have a lot of good information to share. Aside from that playlist, I also have an account called twisted_clay. They have a ton of informational short form videos as well as online courses for pottery, which in the future I definitely want to try. But a lot of their content has helped me, like I said, prepare for having my own at-home studio. So definitely go in or go out and take all the information you can, because this is a very hard hobby to set up, and it really requires learning a lot. So don't skip that. Really go out and try and learn all you can, because it's very important for the whole process. So without further ado, let's get into the at-home pottery setup that I have. For first off the wheel, I decided to get a cheap one off of Facebook Marketplace. This one is originally like an Amazon wheel, and this one has really worked for me. I really like it. I like how small it is because I'm not throwing really large right now. The only thing is that the slowest speed isn't very slow. It's still a little fast, but I would say it's really easy to work with, especially with the clay body I have. It has a little bit of grog in it, so it's not very sensitive. So yeah, I like this wheel. I like the size. I have a IKEA stool under me, and it's fine. Like, as long as you're upright, this doesn't hurt too bad. And as well, I got these off Facebook Marketplace. Let's get into tools. So over here, I have a pegboard, again from IKEA. I first purchased a standard toolkit from Michaels, which had some of your basic tools in it, like trimming and some wooden tools, as well as a wooden rib, a wire cutter, and whatnot. However, I did decide to purchase a few extra tools. I got all of my pottery supplies, or most of them, clay, glazes, bats, tools, all of that type of thing. I got most of my stuff from the ceramicshop.com, like online. So some of the extra tools that I bought were a glazing brush, an underglazing brush, a rubber rib, and I also got a mud tools sponge. I find this sponge much easier to throw with than one of these. I mainly just use these cheap little ones to clean up. One last thing that I have over here is newspaper. When you have a piece that you've thrown, you can take a piece of newspaper and set it on top of the rim. The newspaper keeps the piece from warping when you're removing it from the wheel. Another trick I learned is the newspaper will peel right off around the leather hard stage, which, considering I didn't know what the leather hard stage was or what it felt like or looked like, that was really helpful from when I first started trimming. Okay, welcome to my floor. We are at the bottom shelf. First thing I want to get out of the way is I have 4 of these plain wood boards that I use as wear boards to put pieces on. one of the boards I have as the wedging board. This just has canvas stapled to it on one side, and I use this because the canvas absorbs a little bit of the water when you're wedging, and I like the size. It works fine for me. Down here I have my reclaim and my wastewater. Please go to somebody else's video for that. I am not well equipped to explain how water system works or why they're important. However, I do have both of these set up, I think, pretty well. They worked for me. So down here I have my reclaim bucket. I don't want to move it too much because I have to reclaim, and so I don't want to mix all the extra water in there. When I do my reclaim, I take this giant ass syringe and like get all of the water off the top. This helps with getting all the water and not disturbing the clay too much. This is where all of my throwing water goes and that type of thing, so I like to reuse this water for throwing. On the topic of reclaim, I have this plaster vat right here. I just got it offline. A lot of people make their own plaster slabs, but I didn't really feel like doing that. This is where I put my reclaim, and then the plaster vat will absorb the excess water, and then I can wedge the clay for reusing it. Over here in the second bucket, I just have a little bit of water in this one. I use this bucket to like wipe off my hands or wipe off all the surfaces that I'm using. There's a little bit of clay in here and like cat hair and dust and that type of thing. And I do keep a wooden slab on it so my cats don't get in it. There's this third bucket over here that just has a ton of miscellaneous things. Up here, I have my clay that I quartered and have in some plastic. And then back here, I have my throwing bucket. I keep plastic over it so dust and stuff doesn't get in it. If you can, reuse your throwing water as much as possible. It helps with your water waste, and it's also really good to continue to use slip when you're throwing because it adds like, I don't know exactly why it's important, but I know it's important. I have this straw. It's got clay, dried clay in it, but I use this to poke holes in my test tiles, which I'll show in a minute. Okay, so now we're on the top two shelves. I keep my plaster vat up here as well as my giant syringe, but mainly I keep my glazes up here. I have 13 glazes that I haven't even opened. I am currently waiting on a kiln that I ordered. I do recommend a website called Kiln Share. It will show you potters in your area that are willing to, they usually sell space in their kiln for a little bit of a fee, like $10, $20 maybe. The only reason I didn't go with that route was because I didn't want to work on somebody else's schedule, so I decided to get my own kiln. I think it's like the Scut Firebox or something like that. It's very tiny and pretty portable, so yeah. But I have these 13 glazes. I mainly got the Stroke and Coat Mako glazes as well as various Amico glazes. I'm very excited to do all of the swatches for these. I really love all the colors I picked, so I'm really excited for that, as well as to getting into mixing them. And being a painter, I'm in love with mixing colors and seeing what shades I can get, so I'm very excited to start doing that with these. Speaking of test tiles, I have some up here. This is mainly where I keep all of my thrown pieces, which right now isn't many, but it's the second to top shelf, so my cats can't get to it. But I made these test tiles like a week or two ago now, so they're fully dry and they're ready for a bisque fire. I can't make tea test tiles, so if you can, you're lucky. These will just serve the purpose of showing me the colors. I'll probably make pinch pots for seeing how they drip and fire in a cylinder shape in the kiln. I have these two pieces so far. They're actually not good. I got on my wheel 3 times without being able to get anything. I couldn't get it centered. My wheel was spinning the wrong way. I was trying to center with my non-dominant hand instead of my dominant hand, which was a whole thing. But as you can see on the bottom, it's got this weird texture. That's because I pulled these off center when I was throwing them. I also tried to tap center, which I had no business doing. They were not centered. They were pulled off center. They weren't centered when I was trimming. I also did flat bottom because I couldn't do a foot. I couldn't do a foot yet. There was one more piece that I threw that I ended up just putting in a reclaim because the thickness wasn't right and I waited too long to trim. But I was able to get a little bit of a foot on that, which was pretty cute, but that is no more. Back here I have some bats. I decided to just get a pack of Dirty Girl bat inserts. My wheel isn't large enough for the full system and it doesn't have bat pins, so I haven't actually used these yet, but in the future I plan on just attaching these with a little bit of clay. I specifically wanted these for when I start doing flatter pieces and like plates and stuff like that. I'm not going to take you any higher because the only thing up there is like old paintings and new canvas and that type of thing. Also, this shelf is from IKEA. I did buy it new. It's pretty sturdy. I like the amount of space it has on it. Aside from this corner, I obviously have my desk where I paint. That desk is also from IKEA. I wedge on that table. I do have to keep my leg kind of pressed against it so it's not bumping into the wall, but it's a good height. I mainly like it for painting because it's huge and it has a lot of space. But yeah, that's the whole studio. I'm really grateful that I have the space to throw pottery at home, but admittedly it doesn't really take a lot. You really just need a shelf, a wheel, a stool, and maybe a surface that you can wedge on. What makes it hard is obviously, you know, learning how to throw, learning what the different types of clay are and the glazes are, and the mid-fire, high-fire, low-fire, whatever, greenware, bisqueware, what makes it food safe, what makes it not food safe, and all of that. So again, please look into not even just my playlist, but also just other resources and do as much learning as you can because it's very important. Don't fuck up your pipes. I will be making videos of kind of what I'm creating in this space and that type of thing in the future. I'm very excited about it, but I hope you like this video. I hope that my space inspires you and how you want to set up your space, and I can't wait to see what we all create. Okay, alright, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.